Welcome to the Grand March, an exhibition and collaboration between House of Vineyard and Amsterdam Museum. I'm Roxette Capriles, also known as Anartist Vineyard, an artist and critical thinker, and I will be your tour guide here at the Queer Gaze Tour. Okay, this is our first stop, the salon. We titled this room The Ball Beyond the Binary because the previous couple who lived here, Abraham and Louisa, would have masquerade balls in this space right here. Not to be confused with our balls, but we did feel a parallel in these two realities. So basically, we thought of making this a space in where our guests would arrive to go to the ball. So when we entered the collection of the Amsterdam Museum, we were already confronted with so many choices. What do we pick? Masculine clothes, feminine clothes, objects, or just clothing? Because we wanted to expose people to the world of ballroom, we wanted to explain first the rules of the game. Basically, you cannot understand ballroom without understanding that we're playing with gender. Gender and the idea of the binary is at the center of our world. So we were already confronted with picking the one or the other, and we wanted to make it obvious and clear to the visitor that it's a gender play. So we thought instead of mix matching with the mannequins and the clothes, we would just create beings whose identity is not clear. And by doing this, we could no longer tell the gender of the mannequin, which is, I think, a great setup for what's to come. We are now in the space where we would get ready for a ball. So that was the Amsterdam Museum's collection, and this is our collection. Here we try to envision what it was like to get ready for a ball in the late 18th century, basically, putting ourselves back in that time, but still getting ready for a ball. What you see behind you is materials, wigs, and leftovers that you would typically find when we have left to go to a ball. What you don't see here, though, is the sweat and the stress and the intensity of that moment, and also the feeling of being together. Because that's the best part when you get ready for a ball. So for me, I never experienced that until I started walking and I joined the house. I experienced lots of stress, but also a lot of beautiful examples of resourcefulness and also making quick decisions and to focus all together into one collective goal, which was really exciting to do with a group of people. For me, what was really exciting is that I got to know ballroom through watching the film Paris is Burning in gender studies. So at the time, I had no idea that this was still happening also in this country and at this time. And later I found out it was literally happening around the corner of my house. So I was so close to it. And for me, coming from Curacao, I think here it was difficult to find community and people around me. And within ballroom, I found community and others that I could relate to. And then it wasn't until later that these people became so close to me and became basically family. So that's how I joined. Well, no, I didn't join like that. They asked me if I wanted to come to some trainings, and I came to some trainings and felt it out and felt an instant connection and this gut feeling of like, I think I can grow with these people. I think we can grow together and create something beautiful. So that's why I joined. All right, we're in the gentleman's room, and the house basically wanted to play with the ideas of every room and what we would be doing in this room if we lived here. So in the gentleman's room, we would be reading Vogue magazines. Now, when people hear of ballroom, they think of Vogue magazines and they think of Madonna as voguing. But what they don't know is that Madonna basically got all of that in the ballroom scene. Ballroom is a subculture that originated in Harlem, New York, by trans women, black and brown, gender non-conforming people that basically felt like there was no space for them and that they needed to create their own space. What I mean with there was no space for them, it was basically Crystal LaBeija, who is basically the mother of the whole scene, who was doing drag pageantry. And in drag pageantry, she felt that it wasn't a space for her and that she needed to go somewhere else and create her own space. And she basically did that and still took the pageantry format of competition. And that is what became ballroom. So in this format of competition, you basically have walkers and judges. These walkers compete in different categories, from runway categories, fashion categories, performance categories. So there's over hundreds and hundreds of categories. And you can walk in different categories and win a prize, a trophy. The trophy is basically nothing more but a validation of I see you and I believe you. Ballroom is about mimicking mainstream culture. So a lot of gender non-conforming people were mimicking the poses and fashion that they saw in this magazine. What they were saying was basically, you see these models, that could be me too. You see this cover, I could be in that cover as well. So that's Ballroom. Well, the House of Vineyard, house because we are inspired by fashion houses. That's why you have houses titles like House of Balenciaga or House of Mugler. But the house is basically also a chosen family. So it's just a group of people that relate to each other. You have a mother and a father of the house, typically, and the children of the house. And basically, besides a competition house, so besides a group of people that compete in these balls, we are also a chosen family, so we see each other outside of ballroom all the time. And I have sisters and brothers, and a mother and a father. It's really funny because I think when people think of mother, they imagine a type of person. But when we refer to mother and father, we don't imagine a type of person, but we imagine a type of a role. So the role of mother and father is about caring, giving support, but also to pass on knowledge of everything that they receive. They have to pass it on to the children. And besides that, besides this unconditional support, it is also about claiming those positions that usually is tough to claim as a queer person. So within our queerness, we can also say, no, actually, I am a mother. This is what I do. These might not be my biological children, but I have this relationship with them. And that's what it's about. So for me, my brothers and sisters are also literally my brothers and sisters. It feels like that as well. And this has nothing to do with the queerness, but it has to do with the fact that I'm from Curacao. So I came here studying by myself. I'm alone. So to find these connections meant that there was just more people around me I could share my life with. And that's, yeah, that's kind of, I feel like, what family does. Share our lives together. Yeah. We're in the dining room, and here in this room we acknowledge the femme queens and pay tribute to the mothers of ballroom, basically. Maybe it's good to tell what a femme queen is. A femme queen is a trans woman, but she's called a femme queen because in our world she is the queen. Because let's be real, outside there in the real world, femme queens are not the queen. They are actually treated like they are not part of this world. So by putting them here and also physically giving them a place at this table, we wanted to pay tribute. I came to know them through clips, stories, basically mostly stories that were passed on to me by my parents, my ballroom parents, and also everyone in the scene, because they were the first ones to speak back against racism and to create a space that was a reaction to the world, but also its own world. So, and there were also people who created the format of the queer family, of the chosen family. So for them, yeah, they noticed that, hey, actually I am a mother. I have kids, and we can actually take this family format and use it as queer people. So that's what I'm grateful for. A lot of the mothers actually passed away through the HIV crisis, so they're not alive, and there's quite little archive material. So portraits, photographs. So even to find these pictures was a huge endeavor to find still images of each of them. And if Crystal LaBeija was the only one we didn't find a picture which we had permission to use, which is also something else that we are dealing with, the idea of ownership. And so we wanted to still give her a place at the table by naming her and referring to the pageantry by putting the shawl what's changed for me is the fact that we've become way more visible, I think, as queer people. And also, I mean, here's a whole different reality also in Amsterdam, having accepted gay marriage already for a while now. But I just noticed that what has changed the most is that now kids start joining ballroom at a younger age. So 14, 15, because this acceptance starts way earlier, and the journey of acceptance and exploring one's queerness is now starting at an earlier age, because there's support systems, there's others to relate to that share the same inner world or same struggles. And before that, I think it was people were quite alone and trying to figuring out a lot on their own. And here, if you encounter ballroom, you can already feel like, there's nothing wrong with me. I just have to figure out who I am. As part of the House of Vineyard, we also were the first ballroom house of the Netherlands. So we really had to be very visible. So to educate, to bridge, to to cross over in more cultural spaces and art world was really important to us to become visible. And like this, to hopefully be found by the people that need to be in ballroom. Yeah. So we all know this dress. We all know the story of Cinderella and the glass slipper. But what if she didn't want to go to the ball to meet the prince? What if she just wanted to have a good time? So at 12, the dress comes off to reveal a glass stripper. So basically what's under is a acrylic bikini to represent the slipper as a body piece. Because in ballroom we subvert fairy tales, we play with popular culture and stories that we're all very familiar with. So we embody these characters and materialize their worlds in the way that we present ourselves. Well, this is the library. It's a room of knowledge. So we thought appropriate to put our trophies, because a trophy is nothing more than to understand something and to know something and to believe it. That's basically the trophy for us. So when you're walking not to win this trophy, because in the end, the trophy is nothing more than an acknowledgement of your hard work, that you're seen and that you are believed. So there are different categories for different parts of people. So even within me, I have 5 different beings and all different aspects to my identity. And within different categories, I can find and explore those parts of my identity. So for me, I'm a fashion person. I enjoy wearing clothes and showing myself off, playing with codes of identity. And when I walk, I get to show off my creations, but also I walk in a masculine way, because this brings me back to when I used to walk in that same masculine way when I was on the street and I saw a group of guys and it was late and I felt the type of way that I have to assert myself in a type of way that was masculine. The same energy, that's what I'm tapping into and playing into on the runway. So just like that, we have countless of categories and where people have to change codes of being and play around with codes of being to remain safe. And then on the runway, you can show off what you've learned, basically. Bizarre is another one. So bizarre is about transforming yourself and your presentation of self to the point where you're not recognizable as a human being anymore. That you're just an entity or something so bizarre that people cannot grasp what is happening. And that's the category, basically. Whoever can do that the best. And I also have categories of, for example, designer's delight. So how well can you make something? So how well can you construct it? How detailed are you in the way that you construct something? So that's also a different way of working than the ballroom way of making something, which is like pin it together, tie wrap it. So designer's delight gives space also to people who want to make in a different way. So just like that, there's many categories to give space to everyone, actually. And the different talents of people, the different skills and different talents, and maybe even talents that in the past you were judged for, or made fun of for, or misunderstood for, and here you're applauded and given a trophy. In this room we focus on the category sex siren, and that's Mother's favorite category. She basically started that category also in the Netherlands. Sex iron is basically a category in which you find power in showing vulnerability and reclaiming the gaze, basically. You liberate yourself and your body, and you tap into something that you would normally reserve for another person is now completely yours. It's for you, you're doing it. So you express that sexual energy for yourself, and you are in control of how you're being looked at. Maybe it's good to say that what you see here is also part of Amber Vineyard's private collection. So she brought it to the museum to also create a little bit of tension with the objects that usually are reserved for a specific kind of way of looking or using them, but also placing them in a museum context and taking them as serious as any other object. Behind me, you see the carroza. This is an installation and artwork that I made in reaction to our process in this collaboration with the Amsterdam Museum. So of course, when we visit their collection, we were like, okay, what's our collection? Let's gather everything and create our own collection and show that. And when we started to do that, we started to realize a lot of things, like we don't have a lot of stuff anymore because a lot of things had to be reused, or things are broken or falling apart, or it was made in a type of way that was for the stage and not thinking about the future. It's very much in the moment. And we found it still important to be able to tell those stories of those objects, because besides objects, there are tools for us, tools in our game and in the ball. So besides an archive, it's also a hint to a carnival float, hence the name carroza, which is the papiamento word for a carnival float, because I'm from Curacao, and a lot of people from the ballroom scene in the Netherlands are from the islands, and I can imagine us walking carnival in the next couple of years. That's a very huge ambition that House of Vineyard has, to also think about how we can grab things from our past and take it into the future with it. It is also a hint to a cabinet of curiosities. So a cabinet of curiosities where you would gather all exciting objects from people's journeys and then bring it home and display it for others to see, basically the beginning of a museum. We thought this was an exciting way to display our objects without a lot of context, to just show the object and pieces and remains of things. And also because we wanted to play with the museum format of presentation. So since a lot of the things were made a type of way, we thought we want to keep it in that same way of being seen and displayed. So if something was made for the nightclub, we wouldn't want to put it in a bright, sterile, white environment. So basically, this is the reaction to the way that we would like people to look at our work. What I would like them to take away is to see the creativity and that way of working. Because what I see a lot is young kids buying things from Shein and Amazon and all these companies now, and we would like to bring it back to the essence. And by collecting these pieces, we were finding again these mix matching of objects and materials and things that someone was always envisioning this queer future, this thing whenever they were making something. So the fantasy is really important, and we would like to show that fantasy, and that it's a strategy to walk through life as well. So that's something that I feel like I would like to give to young kids, because a lot of people are now focused on the moves and the competition aspect, the prizes, but forget about the creation, the making, the fantasy. I think it's definitely a self-reflection of myself as an artist within ballroom. I think it's also a reflection in the way that we related to the museum and throughout this process, and the idea of to think of the story we tell other people about ballroom as well, and the story we tell ourselves about ballroom. That suddenly it was something to think about, and for me this was a tool to have certain conversations and to explore certain areas that we haven't explored yet as a house, as a family, as a scene. So it was a way to open up a door to enter a room where we could have conversations. Because at balls, it's just not enough. And I feel like we lack these sort of third spaces in our lives, where we can come together and have complex conversations and share obstacles that we're running into, and to be much more connected in our experience. Yeah. Okay, behind me you see Eli Vineyard, who's the father of the House of Vineyard, and he's inviting us into the next rooms. Also, this hallway is supposed to parallel a runway, so that you can already get a little taste of what it's like to walk. So I'm gonna show you.